Hey Maria, so I'm back again with the women of the Bible. Anna, her character, married for only 7 years, she spent the long years of her widowhood fasting and praying in the temple, abandoning herself entirely to God. A prophetess, she was one of the first to bear witness to Jesus. Her sorrow as a widow, she would probably have been among the most vulnerable members of society, with no one to provide for her financially or to take care of her if her health failed. Her joy that her own eyes beheld the Messiah she had longed to see. Her story: a small bird darted past the court of the Gentiles, flew up to the woman's court, and then on the court of Israel, one of the inner courts of the temples, accessible only to Jewish men. Anna blinked as she watched the beaten wings swerve into the sunlight and vanish. She wondered into which privileged sanctuary the little bird has disappeared. For most of her 84 years, she had been a widow who spent her days praying and fasting into the temple. Though Anna has walked past the outer court thousands of times, she never failed to notice the warning inscribed in its walls in both Greek and Latin. No strangers is to enter within the grounds of the temple and enclosed. Whoever is caught will be responsible to himself for his death, which will ensue. It was an awful thing to come into the presence of the Holy One. Though she could not echo the prayer of Jewish men who praised God for creating them neither Gentiles nor women, she could at least be grateful for the privilege of ascending beyond the court of the Gentiles to the woman's court, where she would be that much closer to the most holy place. Having done so, she bowed her head, rocking back and forth to the rhythm of her prayer. She's praying. Suddenly, a voice interrupted her recitation of the familiar Psalms. Old Simeon, she saw, was holding a baby to his breast, shouting out words that thrilled her soul. Souvenir, Lord, as she had promised, you now dismiss your servants in peace, for my eyes have been seeing. Go get me a chocolate ice cream. Have been seeing salvation, which she had prepared in the sight of all people, a light for revelations to the Gentiles and for glory to your people Israel. Like her, Simeon had lived for nothing but Israel consolation. Though he had not seen, yet he had believed. Anna watched as the child parents hung on the old man's word. Then he handed the infant back to his mother, this time speaking more softly. This child is destined to cause the falling and rising of many in Israel, and to be a sign that will be spoken against, so that the thought of many hearts will be revealed. As a sword will pierce your own soul, too. Anna placed her arms gently around the young mother's shoulder and gazed at the sleeping infant. Words of thanksgiving spilled from her lips. Her heart felt buoyant, her hope unshakable, more vividly than Jacob, who has dreamed of a ladder full of angels, or Moses, who has beheld a bush burning in the desert. She, Anna, a widow and prophetess from the tribe of Asher, had just experienced the very presence of God. Her eyes had seen the promised child whose brilliance would scatter the darkness and bring deliverance for all God's peoples. Now she too felt like a sparrow soaring freely in the house of God. It's no longer matter that she was forbidden entry into the innermost courts of the temple. God himself was breaking down the dividing walls between Jews and Gentiles, male and females, revealing himself to all who hunger for his presence. That day, a child has transformed the woman's court into the holiest place of all. Scripture doesn't tell us whether Anna ever eventually wished she were allowed to enter the innermost court of the temple in Jerusalem, but her longing for God is obvious. Clearly, she was a woman with a great spiritual appetite who abandoned her life to God and was rewarded by meeting Jesus and his parents just 40 days after his birth during the presentation in the temple. And I will be back with another segment of the Bible. Bye, Mariatas.